Hello Internet, so nice to see you. Let's say you want to write a song in C major. Well, you have only 6 good triads available to you. Those are C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor. Okay, technically you would have a 7th triad, which is the B diminished, but these chords tend to sound icky in context, so for the time being, let's ignore it. So you have only 6 triads, that's not really much to work on. It's like painting using only 6 colors and not being able to mix them. You can do something with that, you can do a lot with that, but after a while everything sounds the same. So how can we get more colors for our songs? One way is to use first inversion triads. What are first inversion triads? Well, a triad, as you know, is made by 3 notes. The first, the third, and the fifth. So like C major is made by the notes C, the root or first of the chord, E, the third, and G, the fifth of the chord. And when you play this C major, usually, you put the root at the bass. So the lowest note you play is the root, whether it's played on your guitar or by a bass player or by the left hand of a piano player. Typically, this C, the root of the chord, is the lowest note. And this is what we call simply a C major or a C in root position. To play a first inversion chord instead, we take the third of the chord, E, and we play E at the bass, so as our lowest note. So either we play E as the lowest note in our guitar, or we ask the bass player or the piano player who's playing the lowest note to play an E rather than a C. And we write this chord C/E. Now we could do exactly the same also with the fifth of the chord. So we could put the fifth of the chord in the bass, we could play a C/G, a C with a bass of G, but second inversion chords tend to be a bit more complex to use because they sound less consonant. So for a time being, let's work only on first inversion chords. How do you play those chords on your guitar? It's quite simple. You just take the chord the way you normally play it, and you find a way to play the third of the chord as your lowest note. So for instance, for C major, the third is E, and it's easy to play an E in the bass by playing the open 6th string. For D minor, the third is an F, and we can play the F as the bass by changing slightly our fingering and finding a bass on the 6th string. For E minor, the third is G, and I can play a G on the 6th string. For F, third is A, and I can play an A using an open 5th string. For G, the third is B, and I can play this at the bass by simply not playing the 6th string and making sure to emphasize the note on the 5th string, which is a B. And for A minor, I can just put my pinky on the 5th string to get a first inversion chord. In fact, first inversion chord sounds so good that you can even use the B diminished in first inversion. The B diminished is B, D, F, the third is D, so if you play a B diminished with a bass of D, it sounds great. In context, it sounds great. Those are the basic shapes. There are many others, and it's good for you to study your fretboard and find the shapes by yourself, as opposed to trying to find them from a tab or from a chord book. Let's see 3 different ways in which you can use those first inversion chords. Let's say you're playing a chord progression when a chord is repeated for more than 1 bar. So let's say I have 2 bars of G, 1 bar of C, 1 bar of D. I'm switching to the key of G just because, and so my chord progression will be. But I don't like these 2 bars of G. So what can I do? I can play on the first bar, just G, and on the second bar, my G in first inversion, G/B. You can hear that the bass is moving, and this makes the chord progression sounds, to my ear, better than before. It definitely helps relieving the boredom of having to play the same chord twice in a row. This is the same trick that Extreme use in their song, More Than Words. The second way to use it is to smooth up the bass line. Let's say you have a chord progression which is C, G, A minor. If this G were to become a G/B, a G in first inversion, our bass line would become much smoother because the bass will simply go C, B, A, C, B, A, as opposed to C, G, A. And in fact, this trick has been used in countless famous songs. Just two examples: Landslide by Fleetwood Mac, and Dust in the Wind by Kansas. The third way to use your first inversion chord is when you want to soften up a chord. What do I mean with that? Chords in root position sound very solid, blocky, stable, square. Sometimes that's not the sound you want. Sometimes you want a bit of a more rounder sound, a bit of more of an unstable sound. So in this case, rather than use the root position chord, you use the same chord in first inversion. Let's see an example. If you take Your Song by Elton John, the chord progression is C, F, G, E minor. But that's not how Elton John plays it, because if you play it this way, it sounds a bit too blocky. What does Elton John do? He plays the G in first inversion, so he softens up this chord. So you have C, F, G/B, E minor. You can hear how that G is now softer, it wants to move, it's a bit less stable, and so this gives the song a different momentum, if you want. It's a subtle thing, and the first time you hear it, you may not even actually hear it. The best way to hear this stuff is you play it on your guitar. Now, those are just a few basic pointers to get you started using first inversion chords. If you want to get to know more about this, and you also want to get to know how to use second inversion chords, the chords that have the fifth at the bass, and maybe third inversion chords, which are the chords that use the seventh at the bass, then my suggestion would be to check out my course, Complete Chord Mastery. There we start from the basics, but we start from the correct basics, so even if you know some stuff already, you are not gonna get bored. We clean up everything you know, and we get real fast at using first inversion, second inversion, in actual chord progression, in very advanced ways that sound great. And of course we don't stop there. We also go and we study suspended chord, augmented and diminished chord, extended chords, different chord progression, and various classical and jazz techniques to make your music sound better. If you like this video, click on that like button or smash it if you are so inclined. If you like this channel, subscribe and don't forget to click on notification so that YouTube will tell you every time I put up a new video. This is Tommaso Zilli of musictheoryforguitar.com, and until next time, enjoy! Well, as you know, a chord is made of three notes. For instance, C major. In this case, I'm getting What are first inversion? What are first inversion chords? What are first inversion chords? Oh, come on. Yeah, I can do it. And those are C major. Whoops. Well, you have only 6 good available tries. Good tries. Okay. What are first inversion triads? What are first inversion? What are first inversion triads? Those are basic shapes. There are many others, and you can... Those are the basic shapes. There are many others, and you can... Okay. How do you use those first? How do you use those first inversion chords? Let's see 3 ways. Let's see 3 ways in which you can use those. Let's see 3 ways on how. Let's see 3 different ways in which you can use those first inversions chord. Let's see 3 different ways in which, focus. And there is one chord that you cannot find in that chord. And this makes the sound, because before the bass was going